This is Jim Nailon, liturgical guitarist. I'm going to share my arrangement of the hymn, Be Joyful, Mary. I'll play through it first, and then we'll go back through it and talk about it. That was pretty close. So this is an old traditional hymn, at least 500 years old. There's an old hymnal from the 1500s that has it in it. They don't list the composer, so it's anonymous. And the lyrics go way back beyond that, the Regina Coeli, the Queen of Heaven. So it guesses that it's at least 700 years old, maybe older. I confess I tend to gravitate more towards the contemporary hymns. It's like Sarah Hart and that, but I used this one a few weeks ago and realized it made a decent guitar arrangement. So, and it's a good Catholic Marian and Easter hymn, so we're going to add it to the Liturgical Guitarist Hymnal whenever we do the second edition. So let's get started in it. I use some of my usual tricks. I start out here. The first verse is in C and chordal, based on the full chords, 3 or 4 note chords. Then I do a broken chord arrangement of it in the second verse in C. Then modulate to D, do kind of a broken chord arrangement of it in D, and then for the fourth verse I do not a full chord arrangement, but in thirds usually, or thirds or fourths arrangement, and close it out. So anyway, we'll start here at the beginning. And notice some of these I arpeggiated, which would mean, you know, kind of rolling with the right hand here, not just play. Here's a chord, playing all 4 notes at once. Here's arpeggiating, or rolling. So I mix up the two techniques, try and do it what I think is an appropriate place for it, but you can do that however you like. Some people have trouble rolling like that, so you may have to play them all chords. The other thing to remember is when you're playing chord stuff like this is to your melody's usually always on the A finger or the 3rd finger, and so you want to be stronger with that when you pluck, and not everything all at once, but so that the melody note's brought out. Okay, let's start it here. So just playing through chords, you got to be able to make your chord changes quick. So the C, then put the little finger down on the, and you're playing just 3 fingers there. And then a full chord. And I like to roll the first note of this first measure here. I don't roll that pickup. Then chord, chord, roll, chord, roll, chord, roll, roll, roll. Last note of that first line, last beat. So it's an F chord. This is a short F chord. You only have to do a bar chord once in this. It's the end of this first verse. So the short F chord, the G7. So you can play all those. Maybe roll the second F. Straight, straight chord. Roll. G7. G7 over B. We already did that once. And then this next to the last measure of the second line, you go up for this cheating kind of F chord that I use all the time. And I'm too lazy to play this. I never worked that one up good. I can't get that one quick. So I always do this one. And you can roll. You can slide on your little finger when you're coming off the beat before that, the last beat of the 3rd measure there, the second line. You've got to use your little finger to guide you up to that, and then glide down on the little finger, an E minor, and then a D minor. And I use my 4th finger here on the 2nd fret or 3rd fret of the 2nd string, so that allows my 3rd finger here to be all ready to go down to the C. If you did the normal way people play the D minor is with the first. You can do it that way too. You just got to be quick getting over to the C. I tend to almost always play my D minor with the little finger. I don't know why. And then the last measure there, you have to grab this G sus4 bar, and then lift off the little finger and put your 2nd finger down on the 4th fret of the 3rd string. And then grab the C chord quickly. So those last 2 measures are. And you put a little retard in there at the end. Now, that next to the last measure, I enjoy that. I milk that even in the next verse. But I'm doing something that compositionally is taboo. You know, if there are parallel fifths there, let's see, the F and the C, and then, is that right? Hear how bad that sounds? that's why we don't use in composition class, and if you're studying music theory, you can't get away. They'll nail you if you use parallel fifths. But there's also other harmonies going on here. There's a tenth, or which tends to cover that, and then there's also the sixth. So those are all good harmony runs. So there's a lot of nice moving lines in there anyway that I wanted to keep, but I must confess to the parallel fifths. Okay, then the second verse is same as the first. Now I don't give you the harmony on the second verse because I was lazy. Because with the broken chords, it's not always as obvious. So starting on line 3. That line again, so just a C chord, playing up in a G, with the melody on the second string, 3rd fret, back to the C, and the F, the G7 over B, and C, with a little hammer on here, on the 4th string. Then you go, and here's those parallel fifths again. No, they're not. Not in this measure. So that's starting with an F chord. Lift off. And then last line. The G, so C, D7, G, G7. Sorry. In tenths here. And then here you can slide up on the little finger to that F chord that I cheat with all the time. And here's the tenths. But this is actually, I think legal because, or allowed, because I'm breaking them up. I'm not playing, I'm breaking them up. So a little music theory for you there if you were interested. Then we modulate, and so I put a retard. You notice when I played it, coming down, let's try the last two measures there, that last line. Start slowing down, retard, and keep it slow. And then you start on the top of page 2. Now, some of you may be able to reach this with your little finger, but I've fingered it so you don't have to. You start on a D here, but you're playing with your first and second fingers, so it frees your little finger to get way up there to the 5th fret. And then you go back into a normal D configuration. Second measure, the A with a hammer on, the D, and then a slide with your 3rd finger from the 3rd fret up to the 7th fret. Oh, and I should have said that at the start, right? That I'm using a capo here, so you know my markings are going to be a little off compared to you, but you slide up to the, I tune this guitar down a half step because I'm a baritone. So anyway, I slide up to the 7th fret on my 3rd finger and drop down this D chord up here. Well, just the A note's all I need. And then thirds, I mark that as a G. It's actually more of an E minor. But just bringing down in thirds, and then the over a bass note. So G, third string, bass note, fourth string, bass note, and then the A sus4. Just keep your finger there on the third fret of the second string, and then bring it down to the second fret, and then D. The hammer on. Sorry for the coughing today. My cystic fibrosis is acting up here. So the G, so G bass, and then A, and then D, and then D, and then here you're going to bring your first finger up to the second fret of the fourth string. Your little finger is going to go up to the fourth fret of the first string and play the open second string for an E chord, and then into this little half bar. Actually, you don't even need a bar. That's why I didn't write it. This A here, with the fifth little finger up on the fifth fret of the first string, and then play your second finger gets the third fret of the first string for the seventh of the A, and then you play in sixths here on a D. So open, and then little second finger on the third fret of the second string, third finger on the fourth fret of the fourth string, and then a slight pause. You're going to grab the third fret of the second string with your third finger, and do that slide again, third to the seventh fret. So it sounds. There's almost like a little. You can pause. Slide up to that, and you grab this G chord here on the, so you're up on the 7th and 8th frets here, the first and second strings respectively, and then the open third string, come down to get the D, the open fourth string, open third string, and then this D. Second, third fingers there, it makes it easier to, so you hold it for that suspension on the A, and then the last verse is almost all thirds, so except for this first one. So you're going to have to make this jump a lot. The trick there is using your third finger to slide, again going up to the 7th fret, and then put your second finger down there on the third string, 7th fret. You're playing those two notes, and then you slide back down to the D, and then the A, D, slide up again. Now this time you're going to slide on your first finger. And then drop down. And again, I didn't give you the harmonies here. You can kind of deduce them from the third variation. And then the last note of that third line, and then the last line. G, A, D, A. See, I figured that wrong. So should be the second and third finger. Slide on the third finger. Come back up using your second, third fingers here, and then you put your first finger down on the E on the second fret of the fourth string, and bring your little finger down on the fourth fret of the first string, leaving your third finger down. It's already in place from the previous chord. So that's a pretty easy change. It might be new to you, but it's not hard. And then again up to that A, high, and then second finger plays the G natural, the seventh of the A chord, and then this note, and then and at the end there's a retard again there. The start slowing down, and then if you can roll the that last chord. I like it. Some rolled or a broken chord. Oh, my notes here. Excuse me. Okay. Now, one thing that I thought about also, this puts a nice transitional piece in. If you wanted to do like a Marian melody, a medley, you could start out with my arrangement of Immaculate Mary in C. No. And then you could go right into there you are. And going to that, and you're ending up with going to the D. So this modulates, puts you into D. And then you can go into what's it called? Pleadings. Oh shoot! The hymn's called "Pleading Savior." It's I forgot it now, but it'll come to me in just a second. Sorry. Anyway, it's in D. Sing of Mary. That's it. So you're coming off of. That one up, and then you can go right into, and so those are all free arrangements. Hail Mary, Gentle Woman is also in D. You could wrap up Sing of Mary and go into end up on that one. So I'd give you a nice 4-song medley that you could put together, and this would be the sort of the link to go between the key of C and D to put those all together in a nice little medley. If you had the need for a long instrumental for some kind of a Marian devotion or service. Anyway, I think that's all I have on this one. I pray God blesses your playing, and look for more arrangements on liturgicalguitarist.com, and I wish you peace.